My name is Jaime Bencia. I am the Regional Commissioner of AYSO 1463. Just want to tell everybody thank you so much for being here. We are incredibly excited. It's another season, it's spring season. We just pretty much wrapped up fall. And if anything, to be honest with you guys, some of our fall teams are actually still going on now. One of them is in playoffs still in about 2 weeks. So in some ways, fall is still going, but we are super excited. Myself, Josh, Christy, Jerry Lee, Carlos Torres, all of who, we'll introduce along the way during the presentation. All of these people here, including a lot of our other board members, put in a tremendous amount of hours to make all this happen for you guys. And we are doing our best. We are doing our best to kind of make sure we make this as fun and as enjoyable for your kids as possible. And on top of that, we try to make sure we provide you guys with as much information as we can without completely overwhelming you. We know sometimes, the info we send seems like a lot, but to be honest with you, it's because there is a lot to talk about, right? And that's also one of the reasons why, we're talking today. So on that note, let me go ahead and share my screen and we can really officially get started. Let me do this real quick and share. All right. Show of hands. Are you guys able to see this? Are we all good? Thumbs up. All right. Perfect. All right. Let me go ahead and keep going. Again, welcome again. Spring 22 season. We are again incredibly excited and looking forward to another amazing season at AYSO Region 1463. Thank you for being here. I know I kind of talked about this. I'm sort of repeating myself, but we look forward to you guys being out here, and we look forward mostly to having your kids out here to have a really fun time playing the game of soccer. All of us at the board, we are excited to teach your kids how to play the game of soccer. We are excited for our coaches to help out, and of course, be the ones who are really helping the kids learn to grow and love, grow their love for the game of soccer. So real quick introduction for myself. I'm on there. My name's Jaime Bencia. There's a nice Carl's Jr. star. They are one of our sponsors. They are an awesome sponsor. I'm a big fan. So, big fan of the big Carl. So yeah, there you go. I've been involved with AYSO since 2012 in one way or another. So it's been 10 years now. Wow. A volunteer technically since 2017. Started off as a safety director. So I was in that first year, I was trying to help out the region in terms of making sure, all of our safety procedures were up to snuff in the region. 1 year later, I got a big promotion, or actually 1 or 2 years later, a big promotion to being the regional commissioner. And that happened in 2019. And ever since then, it's been, fast forward to everything we got going on here. Obviously, we are a big region. We have lots of volunteers. We have lots of board members who have provided a tremendous amount of support. All of this doesn't get done just because of me. It happens because of all the other people that you will hear from today. All of them give a tremendous amount of time. This has basically become almost like a second job to a lot of us, but we love it. We've been doing it for years, and we look forward to continuing on. So real quick, I just want to talk to you guys about AYSO's vision and mission, because this is incredibly important to AYSO National. AYSO's vision is to provide world-class youth soccer programs that enrich children's lives. This is obviously, a big, important vision for AYSO. It's important that these kids love soccer, love sports, learn the game, grow to love it, get better, and out there exercising and experiencing this amazing game, right? AYSO's mission is to develop and deliver quality youth soccer programs which promote a fun family environment based on AYSO's 6 core philosophies. So let me go into the philosophies real quick. So here are the 6, right? Oh, and by the way, one important note that I do want to talk about before I continue on. So you'll notice that right now everybody's muted. To be honest with you, there might be tons of participants right now. We're seeing about 80, which is good, but that might climb up because we have at least a good 500 families participating. So, if we were to allow everybody to speak and chat, we could potentially be here for a really long night, right? So what we want you guys to do instead is make sure you put any questions that you have on the chat, right? So as we're going along, if you have any questions whatsoever, just type them into chat. What we'll do is at the very end, Josh Swartz, who is actually one of our board members who's here as well, he'll more than likely start going through each and every one of those questions, and anything that's related to coaching, he'll answer. Anything that's related to refereeing, Jerry Lee will answer, and so on and so forth. So any questions, anything that you have going on, feel free to put in chat, and we will make sure to take care of it by the end of the presentation. So continuing on, programming, or I'm sorry, the philosophies. So I'll go over them fairly quickly. So everyone plays, right? So what that basically means is National AYSO requires players to play at least 50% of the game. So by AYSO standards, the players must play at least one half every single game. And keep in mind why that's kind of important is there might be some clubs or might be some teams out there where you might pay thousands of dollars to be a part of this club or team. And it's possible that a game or two, they may not play at all. It all depends, right? There's no requirement that makes the coach use that player. And in no way are we trying to kind of talk down about any other program. I'm not even going to name names, but it's one of those things where at AYSO, it was deemed incredibly important that obviously if you provided us the funds, if you are a part of our organization, if you're part of the program, your kid plays, right? So that's with AYSO National. On our end for 1463, we bump it up a little bit more. So our kids are required to play 75% of the game, of each game. So that's 3/4, right? And I want you guys as parents to keep that in mind, because if at any point, we mentioned this to our coaches as well. Josh, again, we'll introduce him in a little bit. We had a coaches meeting 2 days ago. And again, it was reiterated to the coaches, please remember the kids, we have to try our best to make sure they play 75% of the game, right? Now, keep in mind, sometimes for certain teams, especially on the older side of things, mathematically, that might not make any sense. Maybe some weeks one child may only play 50% of the game, but what ends up happening is the coach will switch that out. So maybe one game, one child plays 50%, and then the next week it's another child, and that way it gets divvied out a little bit more. So that's what everyone plays is all about, balanced teams. If you guys brought your children to the evaluations about a month or so ago, a little bit over a month ago, that's incredibly important to AYSO. We try to make sure we evaluate all the kids to try our best to make all the teams as balanced as possible. We take all the data that we get from those evaluations and we use that data to separate these kids based on their performance, right? So that's super important. Now, keep in mind, parents and coaches too, it's not foolproof, right? There might be some times where some teams are incredible, right? Even, and sometimes certain teams that for whatever reason, they just can't win a single game. And we do our best to try to stop that from happening. But sometimes it's just not possible. But one thing that we strive to tell the coaches, and Josh does an amazing job doing this, is reminding the coaches, even if that's the case, really what it boils down to is making sure that by the end of the season, even if you don't win one game, the kids are having a blast. They're expanding their knowledge. They're growing, everything it is, everything they're learning about soccer is expanding. So that way, and this has happened to my son over the years as well. He was a part of, teams that didn't have any wins, but by the time the season's done, the coach knows they've succeeded if that kid on that team is like, I can't wait to play for that coach again next season, or I can't wait to play again next season. That's how you know you did a really good job as a coach. So keep that in mind as parents as well, please. Open registration, all that means is that if you lived in New York, you can register in our region. Anybody can register to any AYSO regions. There's a lot of sports clubs out there where you have to live in that area to sign up. That's not the case with AYSO. You can sign up to any region you want. Positive coaching, that's incredibly important to us, right? It's really important that obviously coaches will be out there. They may be yelling, they may be kind of giving them, whatever instructions it is that they're giving them, but it's never, ever negative. Never negative. So I just use a negative there. But anyway, so the idea there is they need to make sure that whatever it is they're trying to get out of the kids, they're saying it in a positive manner, in a constructive manner, never saying anything that would make them feel, belittled or they're doing something wrong. That's incredibly important to us. And it's something that we're trying to instill in all of our coaches. Good sportsmanship, I think that goes without saying, super important for everybody. And that includes parents, coaches, referees, everybody to have amazing sportsmanship at AYSO, super important. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on in this presentation. And then player development, I talked about that a little bit. That is one of our biggest goals, right? It's not about winning. There's nothing in these requirements or there's nothing in these philosophies that ever talk about winning, right? That's not what's exactly important here. What's important is that we are developing your players, and on top of that, we're developing coaches and we're developing referees, right? All of that stuff, it's development throughout the entire organization, right? So that is what that is all about. So let me skip over. Uh-oh. Why is it? There we go. Okay. So just a heads up, and I won't take too long on this slide, but just to make you guys aware, our region is a part of a greater whole, right? So we are a part of what's called Area 1R. And in Area 1R, there is Corona, Riverside, Moreno Valley, Jurupa, Paris, Menifee, and French Valley. All of those regions are a part of Area 1R. And especially for some of you older teams, like say, for example, 14U, 16U, you guys will more than likely be playing these regions, and all of these regions encompass this area R. So we're all kind of almost like a family unit, and we're all working together to improve AYSO in Riverside County. So that's what that is all about. Next up is the kid zone. So again, super important. I'll go through these bullet points fairly quickly, but of course, you know, this is all about the kids. So kids are number one, right? Like I mentioned before, it's all about fun and not winning, right? You know, fun is really the most important thing along with player development. Fans only cheer, only the coaches should coach. So this is a big heads up to all of the parents out there. And I wish all 500 plus were here so we can talk about this real quick. But keep in mind, parents, and I was like you guys too, you know, you're out there, you're seeing your kids playing, and you're hearing the coach, and you're tempted to start trying to tell your kid what to do. Go left, go right, go up, go down, kick the ball, do this. It's super important as parents that we are just out there cheering our kids on, because if every single parent tries to provide instruction to their kids, all the kids are hearing out there is noise. Imagine your kids out there. Imagine you're the kid out there, and all you're hearing is every single parent giving them instructions. They're not going to hear any one of you, right? So it's super important that you let the coaches do what they got to do, and you guys can cheer as loud as you want, but it's really important that you let the coaches kind of do their thing, right? Next up, no yelling and anger, all that, you know, that's fairly obvious. And some of these are going to seem a little silly, but, you know, it's stuff that we got to make sure we kind of give you a heads up on. So no yelling and anger, respect the volunteer referees, and we'll talk about that more. Jerry Lee will talk about that more once we get to the referee section. No swearing, that is big. I mean, that's for everybody, right? Parents, coaches, everybody, players, everybody. No alcohol, tobacco, other controlled substances on the field, no weapons, leave no trash behind. This is a big one, everybody, and this is what we need help with. Sometimes, you know, every single week there might be some trash left behind, and then all of a sudden our volunteer board members have to pick everything up. So if you guys could do us a favor and just make sure you kind of, you know, keep after yourselves, that would be outstanding. Set proper example of good sportsmanship, and celebrate the player, win or lose. And again, that's incredibly important. You know, whether it be winning or losing, make sure you make that player, make sure you make your child feel like they did an amazing job. So that way they're going to want to have fun and keep coming back week after week. Spectator role. So this goes into basically what we talked about just a little bit more, right? So, you know, for spectators in regards to coaches and referees, it's going to be really, really important that we keep our cool out there, that we're treating every single person with respect. You know, there's a quote in there where it's like, referees are not the bad guys. One thing that as parents, and us as well, I'm a parent too, right? I have to remember is that the referees out there, they're just like you and me. They're volunteers. Actually, if anything, some of you might end up becoming referees, right? So we got to remember that they're not the bad guys. A lot of them may be brand new. A lot of them may just be learning the craft. They may not know every single rule, right? So we just got to remember to have fun and make sure to treat everybody respect. The good news is in the last few seasons, the more we kind of keep talking about this, the more we kind of keep training our referees and talking to our parents, this has calmed down immensely. I know about, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago when I first started, you know, as being part of the board or whatever, it was a little bit of a problem, but I think little by little parents are starting to understand that it's important that all of us together respecting one another just makes the experience a whole hell of a lot more fun. So let's keep that up, please. All right, so I'm going to talk real quick about schoolyard and VIP programs for any of the parents who are part of those programs. Some information for you guys, okay? So schoolyard, this is for the little itty bitty kids, right? 3 to 4 years old. It's really focused on group session play. right? And what's going to end up happening is we are going to have we're going to have a group called UK International, and they are a group that we have contracted of specialized coaches who are going to come in. One coach for every single one of your sessions will act as the coach master, right? And then we are going to have some of you parents be the actual coaches themselves. The coach master from UK International will provide you guys with information on what you guys need to be doing. And then you, as the parent coaches, will just kind of follow what the coach master wants you to do and work with the team, right? And work with the kids. So it's really, especially a majority of the actual session itself is just learning the fundamentals. Like it says on here, hopping, skipping, jumping, running, throwing, balancing. And of course, because there's so little, it's super important to keep them engaged and laughing and having fun. So we make sure to add little games and, just kind of make it just really quick paced, right? Because to be honest with you guys, I've actually kind of coached schoolyard before, and wow, it's a lot of work because you constantly have to keep the kids' attention, or else they'll start picking daisies and just kind of do their thing. So it's really important that the coach master, the UKI coach master, does a really good job here, which they do. And it's really important for the coaches to keep up the energy and make them have a fun time, which they will. And keep in mind, at the end of these group session plays, there will be a little quick game, like a little scrimmage, like a 5-on-5 scrimmage. So that way you can still see a little game between the little kids, right? So that's going to be a lot of fun. We do have a schoolyard coordinator. Her name is Catherine Gilkey. Her information is down below. And by the way, quick, that just reminded me, quick heads up on this. So after this session, so sometime tomorrow, this video and the entire presentation will be available on the website, right? So if you're not seeing this information, or if you're not writing this down, or if you forget or whatever, tomorrow you'll be able to hop on the website and you'll be able to find this. Or if you go to our website and just hit the contacts button at the very top, it'll give you a list of all the people who are responsible, including Catherine Gilkey, who is the schoolyard coordinator. So just heads up on that. So real quick bullet points on schoolyard. Sessions will occur Friday evenings. It's going to start March 11th. So heads up on this, because this always happens with the schoolyard parents. It's a program, so it's only Friday sessions based, right? There aren't going to be practices. So your very first session is Friday, March 11th. Your very last one is going to be May 13th, and there's going to be a total of 8 sessions total. Session times will either be 4:30 or 5:30 p.m. So that's kind of being worked on now, and we're going to figure out which session you're in, and then our coordinator will let you know soon. They are 45-minute sessions apiece. Like I mentioned before, there's no practices, and you're going to need a size 3 soccer ball. So make sure you pick up a size 3 soccer ball. And by the way, we're going to go into that in a little bit, especially with the meet and greet that's happening tomorrow. Schoolyard, technically your coaches won't be there, but like I'll mention when we get to it, everybody's invited. Everybody can go to the meet and greet tomorrow. There's a 20% off coupon. You can buy soccer balls, you can buy equipment. So make sure to do that tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail. So like I mentioned before, UKI International, they're going to be there. They are going to act like the coach master. They're an incredible group. We've used them before, and we are excited to have them back on board, and they are going to be with us providing support to the schoolyard program. So next up is the VIP program, which we are so excited about. This is our program for our special needs kids. And actually, I say the word kids, but it really is for any ages. It could be as young as 4, it could be as old as 70, it could be for anybody with special needs. It is an opportunity for them to get on the field and learn to love the game of soccer, play soccer, have a good time. Last season, our coordinator, Shauna Glicker, we also had our assistant regional commissioner, Christy Nielsen, out there. They did an amazing job. Emily, who's also one of our board members, her girls, who's in that picture that you're seeing right now, they did an incredible job of creating posters and making it so much fun for everybody out there. It is a blast, and we are so excited to bring back VIP soccer again, and we're looking forward to it. Just real quick, shin guards are required, soccer cleats are optional, and that kind of goes for schoolyard. I didn't mention that for schoolyard, but shin guards are required for every single child, right? So make sure you have shin guards. Soccer cleats, again, and this goes for all divisions, they're not required, but you're out there in grass, they're highly recommended. So please make sure to get, cleats if you can, right? And occasionally we're going to play with the ball. volunteers, we're actually going to have what's called VIP buddies, and a lot of them end up being teenagers. Actually, you can kind of see a few of them in the picture, you know, in the blue shirts, and a lot of them are players who come out and they just help out with the program, and they do a great job, you know, working with the kids or working with the VIP participants and having a good time too. They're also going to play some short-sided games, you know, 4 10-minute quarters, so they have a blast. And again, the coordinator, her name is Shauna Glicker. There's her email if you guys have any questions. If any of you parents are out there that are VIP parents, feel free to, you know, email her and ask her any questions you may have. The sessions occur on Fridays as well. Same thing with Schoolyard. It's going to start March 11th. It's going to end 5/11. So May 13th. That is the final session. It's a total of 8 sessions. Session times, I didn't adjust that. That's my fault. But session times will actually be at 5 o'clock. There's only going to be one session for VIP. So remember that, parents of VIP, it's at 5 o'clock. It's going to be 45-minute sessions. Again, there are no practices, and it is a size 5 soccer ball for this particular program. We absolutely look forward to it. So we hope, you know, parents out there do too. So let me continue on. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand it over to our coach, administrator / instructor, Josh Schwartz, and he is going to go over our various divisions at AYSO 1463. Go for it, Josh.
Awesome. Thanks, Jaime. Great job. Way to kick us off. Sweet. So before I get started, thank you all again for being here. We really appreciate you guys taking the time, but not to beat that dead horse, let's keep on moving along. So the 6U division is awesome. In my opinion, this is when it really starts getting fun. They're still super youngsters. It's really the time to explore, experiment, you know, with and without the ball. And the idea here is to really just get them to fall in love with the game of soccer. So obviously they're going to be kicking, running, dribbling, like very basic stuff, and having fun while doing it. So for 6U, they get 45-minute practices once a week. They are 5v5 matches with no goalkeeper, and the games are 30 minutes long. And this is the one age group where the coaches do the supervision and refereeing. There's no official referees for these 6U matches. Our 6U coordinator, her contact info is down there below. So parents, if you have any issues, questions, and you can't get an answer from your coach, then Taylor is the person to reach out to. 6U games are on Saturday. Like we talked about, practices are once a week. They're going to have 8 games throughout the season. First game will be March 12th, which is a Saturday. And also size 3 soccer ball for 6U. Perfect. Moving right along to 8U. So you kind of build up on the 6U a little bit. You know, you focus on quality training, good habits, and basically you're starting to build a really strong foundation for development at the older age groups. At the same time, you know, they're still young. They're just 6 and 7-year-olds. So you have to make it fun. You have to make it engaging and exciting. Practice time jumps up quite a bit here. So you get 60 minutes twice a week. So 2 hours a week practices. The games are a little bit longer. They're 40 minutes now, which is 2 20-minute halves. And there's 6v6 on the field instead of 5v5. So a little bit larger matches. Still no goalkeepers and no offside, which is good for the kids because that means you get to score more goals. That's what gets them excited, especially at that age. The 8U divisions are going to be ran by certified referees. A lot of times you'll see youth referees on these age division matches. And a lot of times you'll see super experienced referees on these matches, but coaches don't referee this one. That's only for 6U. Our 8U coordinator is Mr. Alex Goodwin. He's an absolute rock star board member that we have. Same thing as before. If you have any questions that you can't get answers from your coach, Alex Goodwin is the person to reach out to. These games are also on Saturday, also starting on March 12th. Also a size 3 soccer ball, also 8 games. And in 8U and up, we have the possibility of a 9th week. after your initial 8 games. And Jaime, we're going to go into that later on, right? I don't need to delve in now.
No, not right now. We'll definitely go into it.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get into that 9th week, that exciting 9th week in a later slide. There we go. Perfect. 10U. So 10U, also 2 hours a week, 60-minute practices twice a week. A little bit longer games. They're 50-minute games now. More players on the field. It's now 7v7, and this is the first division where goalkeepers are on the field. Also, the offside rule is in effect at this division with a slight caveat called the build out line. It's too much for me to go over here on this meeting. But this, I don't know, you can't see my mouse, but there's a link there on the bottom right that has amazing YouTube explanation of what offside is and how the build out line works. And I cannot stress enough to all of you as parents, and I did the same thing to your coaches, watch this video so all of you have a clear understanding of what offside is and what the build out line means when it comes to the offside penalty. Saturday game starting March 12th, and 10U, the soccer ball gets size 4, not size 3. So you're getting a little bit bigger size soccer ball. 8 games with the possibility of a 9th. And so Carlos Torres, which all of you probably have heard his name or received an email or phone call from him. He is our 10U coordinator. So you can reach out to him if you have any questions about the 10U division. There we go. Perfect. 12U. 60 minutes twice a week for practices. Games are a little bit longer now. They're 60 minutes to 30-minute halves. 9v9 on the field. Big ticket items for 12U. Positions should be taught and encouraged. Players in 12U, as a matter of fact, and 10U and 8U should be playing all positions. They should be getting rotated around throughout the season. You might have the fastest player, you might have the best shooter, you might have that might be your player or your child, excuse me. But they're going to have to move back. They're going to have to play defense too. They're going to have to play midfield. They're going to have to play all the positions, and everybody's going to rotate around throughout the season. If you're a goalkeeper, you cannot play more than 3 quarters as a goalkeeper per match. If you do end up playing 3 quarters in one match as a keeper, you have to play the 4th quarter, and it has to be on the field. So you guys are aware of that. 12U, no headers are allowed. If one of the players does head the ball or the ball even accidentally hits their head, it'll either be a drop ball or an indirect free kick to the opposing team, depending on the referee's judgment.
By the way, real quick, Josh, just a heads up, as far as the goalkeeper's playing 3 quarters as keeper and they must play 1 quarter on field, that's exactly right. So if they play 3 quarters as keeper, they have to play 1 quarter on field. But one thing that the coaches need to be aware of, and you guys should be aware of too, is that before that even happens, if a player is going to play all 4 quarters, everybody else has to get their equal amount of play as well first, right? So it can't be where one child only plays 2 quarters and then this child plays 4, right? So there has to be that kind of balance going on. So keep that in mind as well.
Perfect, Jaime. Yeah, good point. The general rule is no player can sit twice before every player has sat once. So if you see something like that happening, go talk to your coach. And if that doesn't work out, then get in touch with one of us right away, and we'll make sure to address it.
And one more thing that I'll add as well, the positions should be taught and encouraged. Keep that in mind, parents, if for whatever reason, because sometimes this happens, right? Sometimes maybe the coaches, we do our best to try to inform coaches of all this information, but sometimes it's so much info they forget, right? And even at 12U, we try to remind them they got to swap players out as much as possible to all the various different positions, right? And sometimes they might forget. So if you're noticing that your child is only playing defense over and over, game after game, talk to your coach, let them know, work it out. And if you can't work it out, let us know. We'll try to figure things out for you. But keep in mind, what a coach may end up doing, and they should talk to you about this, is they may have your child just play defense for one game, but then the very next game they'll have them play offense, right? So they might switch it up, so it's going to be up to your coach to kind of give you a heads up on that, but keep that in mind as well.
I'm glad you said that, Jaime. I was going to say the exact same thing. So great minds. All right. So moving on to, or actually, let's go through these bullet points real quick. Same thing, Saturday game starting March 12th. 12U is also a size 4 ball along with 10U. All 12U games will be at our home fields in Marietta, which is actually the case for 12U and below. All games will be at our home fields in Marietta. 8 games total with the magical 9th week possibility. Moving along to 14U. So our 14U division is co-ed this season. Practices get bumped up now. So now you get 90 minutes per practice twice a week, no more than 3 hours a week total for practices. 70-minute matches, and it's a full-size roster, so 11v11 games. So when you get to 14U, you're kind of what we consider one of the older divisions. Positions should be taught and enforced. So this is kind of where that transition gets made, where if you are an all-star defender or a hot shot forward or something like that, you can play forward all the time. You can play defense all the time. That's completely up to the coach. Same thing with goalkeepers. There's no limitations here now. You can play all 4 quarters as the goalkeeper. And headers are finally allowed. And this is one of the things my daughter was most excited about getting to 14U. So I get to use my head. And so sometimes we have the rare occasion where a 12U aged player is skilled enough and they want to play up into a more challenging division. So even though headers are allowed for 14U division, if you are one of those 12U aged players, headers are still not allowed for you. Substitutions are only allowed during the quarter breaks, halftime, and if there's an injury. 14U, they will have some games during the week and also some on Saturdays. The start date for our older divisions is still to be announced, and we're moving up to a size 5 soccer ball now. This is a full-size soccer ball. Their games will be in the surrounding regions, like Jaime touched on earlier, between 8 and 9 games total. And there'll be a tournament in June hosted by AYSO Paris for the team that comes out in first place. Perfect. 16U division, very similar to 14U. Practice limitations are the same. 70-minute matches, 11v11. This is the big change from 14U to 16U is you get what's called free substitutions. So anytime there's a stoppage in play, such as a throw in or something along those lines, the coach can just sub in out 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 players or whatever at the discretion of the referee. So there's no like quarter substitutions or anything like that. It's what we call free subs. Also weekday games and Saturday games. Start date is to be announced. Size 5 soccer ball. 8 to 9 games total, and they will play versus Area 1R teams. And there will also be a 16U tournament for the first place team in June for 16U. And then UKI. So Jaime touched on UKI a little bit earlier when he was talking about schoolyard, and so they are going to be what we call the master coaches for the schoolyard program, but they're not just there for schoolyard. That they're actually there for all the other coaches too. Anybody who decides to utilize their support. They're setting up a system where they could come out during your practice and either completely run your practice for you while the coaches watch and learn and ask questions, or they can be with the coach and kind of doing it together, helping them, giving them insight. The program was super successful last season. Every coach who took advantage of it had nothing but good things to say about it. It's really awesome because it kind of brings an outside element of experience into our region. And the idea is to basically help our coaches get better. bring that experience in, get that hands-on, maybe learn some different techniques, different terminologies, different drills or activities, and the coaches can build on that with this UKI support. So if you see UKI coaches, don't think your coach gave up on you. They're actually trying to make themselves better. So yeah, so if you have any questions for me, you can find more information than you want on our website. Remember to reach out to your division coordinators if you have questions or concerns that your coaches can't take care of for you. And if you need to contact me, go right ahead. I will not ignore you or turn you away. There's my info down there at the bottom.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. Just so you guys know, you know, we're going to introduce Carlos in a second, but Josh is one of those guys here that does an insane amount of work, whether it be, you know, doing his coach admin work with all the various coaches, whether it be instructing the coaches. For example, he has other instructor classes going on next weekend and constantly refereeing. So Josh, you're awesome, man. You're always doing a great job. So thank you for everything you do, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Of course. Thank you, Jaime.
And by the way, it says spring 2021. Of course, it's supposed to say spring 2022. So my bad. I know,
shame.
failure. We start over again. Yep. I'm gonna edit right now. All right. So next up is another incredible board member. His name is Carlos Torres. He does an insane amount of work at AYSO. You guys will see him all over the place throughout the season. We are lucky to have him. So Carlos Torres is our competitive play coordinator amongst various other titles. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about the Spring Select program and also talk to you about the Extra program. So Carlos, I think take it away, my friend.
Can you make him a co-host real quick, Jaime? Sorry, Carlos.
No worries.
Make Carlos a co-host.
Oh, I did.
Real quick.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead and move on, Josh. So hey guys, my name is Carlos Torres. Like Jaime said, I'm the competitive play coordinator. I'm also the volunteer coordinator, and I also am a division coordinator for 10U. So we wear multiple hats. Us as board members, we always try to stay as organized and as efficient as possible. But anyways, let's move on. So here's the Spring Select program. So the Spring Select program is a program designed, think of it like an all-star team. So there's the core level, which is what most kids are in now. And then in the spring, is the only time we have this, coaches can submit an application to become one of the Spring Select or all-star team coaches. These coaches will submit an application. It'll go through the board, the executive board, and then we have to approve these coaches to be a coach for this level. Once the coach is approved, then the coach can scout around players from our region and pick or handpick players to be on this all-star team. In some cases, some instances, they will actually, hold a couple tryouts or whatever, but they don't have to. That's why it's called select, and then they pick these players. It is a much higher level of play and competition. You're essentially taking the best of the best in your region and forming a team, and you'll be going up against other regions, other cities, and going up against their best of the best, right? It's a much higher commitment from the player. It's definitely a much higher commitment from the parents because they have to take them to and from practices. Practices are longer, and there's more practices during the week. But it is a ton of fun. It is like a travel team as well because they will be going back and forth, like you see on here, multiple cities. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you see on there, they go from city to city or region to play. Again, it's a lot of fun. This season actually has been one of the first seasons that we've had more than one or two select teams. I believe we actually have 5 now, which is fantastic. And we want our region to continue to grow because we want our kids to not only play at the core level, but if they really enjoy it and want to continue and advance more, be able to move on to the select level. Now, again, this only happens during the springtime. So that is the time that would happen. So right after fall, we would go start doing the process for the select. Moving on to the extra program. So the extra program is a much higher level. So again, there's a core level, there's a spring level, and now there's the extra level. The extra level, think of it like a club-like team. I always say it's a club-like experience at a AYSO price. So there's only a one-time fee. You pay that fee up front. It is more, but you pay that fee up front. It's probably about 25% of what a club team would cost you. A club team costs, monthly subscriptions plus upfront registration fees and all that stuff. In AYSO, the extra program is just a one-time fee, and it's like a club-like experience. It is, again, so there's a core level, there's select level, and now there's extra level. So we're talking 2 to 3 levels up, much, much higher level of competition. Again, a coach would have to submit an application to get approved for that, and it had to be approved by the board. And then the coach would not actually pick the players. The league would hold tryouts. So any child in that division, if it's a coach per division, would come to tryouts if they wanted to, and then the league would then decide who would be on the team. And again, the league would obviously try to put the best players of the region onto this team. Again, it is a travel team, so you would go from city to city or region to region. Again, even more competitiveness level is expected, and parent participation is extremely expected as far as helping out and stuff, whatever, because it is a much higher level and stuff, whatever. That happens at the end of spring season. We move right into tryouts in the summertime so that we start in the fall season. It is a year-long program or a 10th-month program. It starts in July, August, and it ends in May or June. If your child is interested, be on the lookout for that program. Currently, we only have one extra team. It happens to be my team, but we definitely want to incorporate more teams. We just need to get the coaches, because again, nobody gets paid at AYSO. And none of these coaches ever get paid, including myself or anyone. So it's a lot of work for us, but for the love of the kids and the love of the sport, right? So getting a coach to commit that kind of level is hard, but at the same time, not impossible, because there are some coaches that love to coach and would have a great experience. So be on the lookout after this season or during the end of the season. We're going to advertise for extra tryouts, and maybe your child can come out and try out. And there's my information there, so continue.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carlos. And by the way, Carlos will be back. There'll be a lot more information from him in a little bit, but thank you so much. And again, like Carlos was mentioning, be on the lookout for that. If all of a sudden you're thinking your child, is doing a great job, if you're interested in having he or she kind of expand their knowledge even more and be a part of these programs, let us know. Let your coach know, and we will provide you whatever info you need to make it happen. So thank you again, Carlos. All right, so let's continue moving forward. Okay, so equipment list, just some equipment related information for you guys. We kind of briefly talked about this, but we'll kind of reiterate again. So players are required. So they are required to wear shin guards, and keep this in mind, parents. This is not just for games. This is for practices as well. And we got to make sure that we got to let the coaches know that if the kids do not have their shin guards for practice or for games, they will not be allowed to participate. There will be no exceptions. So it's incredibly important that you make sure you guys have your shin guards. Shoes, cleats are not required. But again, like I talked about before, highly, highly recommended. So, try to buy cleats if you can. So again, soccer balls, size 3 for those divisions for 6U, 8U, and below schoolyard as well. 10U to 12U, size 4. 14U and above, size 5 ball. Another thing that's incredibly important, and Josh can tell you this, and Carlos and everybody else can tell you this, please make sure that your child has plenty of water. There have been so many instances and occasions where the kids will be on the field and they'll have a little tiny bit of water, or they will have no water and it's 100 degrees out there, and then all of a sudden they're running to the board tent asking us for water, and of course we'll help them, but it's really super important that you guys buy these big jugs and make sure it's full of nice cold water for them, because it's incredibly important. So please remember that. Not allowed. What's not allowed? So just heads up on this. No jewelry of any kind, right? So earrings, watches, necklaces. Keep in mind, the referees are going to be trained to look for this. So at the beginning of every game, they're going to line up the kids. They're going to say, you guys are not wearing earrings, watches, necklaces, correct? And we're going to look at everybody, right? We're going to look at everything, and we're going to look at shin guards, and we're going to look at all that stuff. And if any of that stuff is on there, earrings, watches, whatever, they have to be removed. So keep that in mind, parents. There have been instances where, a child or a parent will say, well, I just got my child's ears pierced, I can't take it out. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, they will not be allowed to play. It will be 100%. They will have to leave the field, or they can take it off and they can play. But if they have it on, they will not be allowed to play. So keep that in mind. No hats as well. So no baseball hats, please. Medical alert bracelets are the only exception. Sunglasses are not allowed unless they're prescription. So if your child needs the sunglasses, needs to wear prescription glasses, that's okay, right? No cast or splints, even if they're padded and the player has been cleared by a doctor. That could be potentially a danger on the field, so that will not be allowed. Soft braces are okay. So if they actually have some sort of soft brace on their arm or their leg or something along those lines, the referee will kind of look at it and check it and make sure it's soft. But if they feel anything, jagged or any kind of metal inserts or whatever, they will not be allowed to play, right? So there's that distinction there. So keep that in mind. Practice and game field. So the home games are at Torrey Pines Park. If for all of you who have been with us before, you know exactly where we are. For those of you who haven't, feel free to look up Warm Springs Middle School. We actually use the fields that are a part of Warm Springs Middle School. However, when you go to practices, when you go to games, if you're brand new, don't punch in Warm Springs Middle School, because it's going to take you to the front of the school, and then you're not going to have any idea where the fields are, and you're going to get a little lost. What you want to do is either punch in Torrey Pines Park, or you want to punch in the address that's there, 39455 Torrey Pines Road, right? That will actually get you into the entrance of Torrey Pines Park, which is connected to Warm Springs. So keep that in mind. Practices. So a majority of coaches will select Torrey Pines Park. That's actually ongoing right now. The coaches, we talked to them 2 days ago. They're working with Josh and they're working with Carrie Lopez, who was our safety director, to kind of figure out the situation of, what times are we going to be practicing, what field space, all that stuff is being figured out right now. Now, keep in mind, a majority will pick Torrey Pines Park, but there are also other fields surrounding Torrey Pines Park that they are allowed to use, right? One thing we told them is that there's a list of parks that are accessible and available to AYSO 1463. Everything else is not available. So they got to make sure to use those fields, or else, if for whatever reason some other organization finds out and you're at another field that is not okayed by the city, our organization can get in a little bit of trouble. So we've kind of given the coaches a heads up, make sure you're at a field that's approved by us. So keep that in mind. List of parks and addresses are available on our website. So if you were to go to our website and select fields, you would actually find and see a list of our approved fields on that site. And again, the coaches will let you know where it's going to be. So they should be giving you a heads up really soon. Game day home and away side. So say, for example, you're looking at that graphic, which you almost got to imagine, and we have a little thing that says parking lot at the very bottom. So the side of the field that's closest to the parking lot is going to be for the away teams, right? So 1 week you may be away, 1 week you may be the home team, right? So the side of the field that's closest to the parking lot is going to be the away field. If it's furthest away from the parking lot, that's where the home team sits. Okay, so keep that in mind too. All right, I'm going to keep going. All right, so at the end of our season, and Carlos, in some ways, is going to kind of go into this in somewhat more detail. We're always excited. This is what Josh was alluding to with the possible 9th week. For 8U division, 10U, 12U, 14U, we're going to hold what's called the Commissioner's Cup Tournament. And it's a blast. It's basically our end of season single elimination tournament. And what ends up happening is this has nothing really to do with wins and losses, right? It has everything to do with volunteer points, with you guys providing us some support for the region. There's a number of things and a number of ways to actually get an approval and okay for your team to be a part of this awesome end of season event that Carlos, I'll let Carlos go into it a little bit. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a fun event. We have vendors out there. We put all our team's banners everywhere. We have balloons. We make it into like a little bit of a festival at the end of the year, and we make it a lot of fun. So it is imperative, and we told the coaches this the other day, it's imperative that you guys try your best to make it out there. Some of you might wonder, like, well, why not 6U? Why not, schoolyard? Well, keep in mind, the kids are really little at that age. To hold a tournament for them is a little tough at that age. So, and with 8U, 10U, 12U, and 14U, starting in 8U, especially in the fall season, is when teams end up going to playoffs. Now, that doesn't happen for the spring, but they were in the fall, they would be going to playoffs in all these other regions and everything. So this is our way of trying to train those teams. Now, as far as 16U, if you're curious why they don't, because we only have two 16U teams. So a tournament for just 2 teams is a little rough. But like Josh mentioned a second ago, we are going to have a 16U tournament for the 16U champion that's going to happen in Paris in June. So that's another way for us, for one of the 16U teams to have a little bit of fun. So this is going to be an end of season tournament. It's going to be a blast, and we'll kind of go into it as far as how you can qualify for this in a little bit. Last couple of bullet points. The 14U Division Commissioner Cup winner will go to their own special June event in Paris. So that's a separate tournament after this tournament for the winner of the Commissioner's Cup. And then, like I said a second ago, 16U will have their own as well. Recognition pins. So this is a lot of fun. We actually brought this in maybe a good 3-4 years ago now. What we end up doing is for each game, coaches 6U and above are going to be on the lookout. They're going to be looking at the other team, and they're kind of going to be looking for one player on that team that is exemplary in some way. Now, every week there's going to be a theme, right? Like these pins represent the theme. So one week it might be skills champ. So the coach is going to be asked, okay, remember it's skills champ week. You got to look for a child who's either performing extremely well with their skills, or maybe week to week they've been improving their skills and they're trying really hard. Or it could be sportsmanship week, where all of a sudden one child is doing a great job of maybe helping out the other team if they fall on the ground, or if they're just helping out the coaches or doing something that would be considered amazing sportsmanship. Another week, it could be just a superstar pin, where for whatever reason, that child, you're paying attention to that child is doing everything. They're at defense or in offense. They're doing an incredible job. It doesn't have to be the best scorer. It just means like that's the one child that was just the standout child for that game, right? So what's going to happen is coaches are going to be on the lookout for a player on the opposing team, and then at the end of the game, the teams will get together, and the coaches are going to have a little ceremony at the end of the game, and they're going to say a couple of words to that player, to the team, saying, "Hey, Johnny, you did an amazing job, and here's why you're the official winner of this pin." And they will give that pin. Everybody will have a celebration, and it's a great way to kind of get the kids invested. It gives them something to put on their backpacks, and just something else to put a smile on their faces, and just kind of make sure that they feel rewarded for doing a great job that week, right? And it's been working really, really well. Each team will have one winner per week. Schoolyard, just as a heads up, we tried doing schoolyards a few years ago, and man, the kid who would win the pin would be jumping for joy, and then you would have 9 other kids crying on the ground and just upset and not happy. So we made a decision that, you know what, schoolyard might be a bit too young for it. So just keep that in mind, parents. It's a little too young. 6U, there is a little bit of a difference. We tell our 6U coaches that we got to find a way to make sure that every child gets at least one for that season, right? And one of the ways we instructed coaches the other day to do this is, if one of their children already got the pin, it's up to that coach to go talk to the other coach and say, "Hey, coach, number 2 over there has already won one. Try to avoid number 2. Make sure we're evening it out," right? So all of 6U at some point or another will get a pin. For 8U and above, that has to be earned, right? So if one child or 2 children or whatever are doing a great job every single week, and for whatever reason the other coach on the other side is recognizing that child, good on them. They won it, they earned it, they can get those pins, right? Now, of course, if it starts getting out of hand and one child is winning, 3, 4, 5 pins, then we might talk to the coach and say, "Hey, we need to spread the wealth a little bit." But for the most part, 8U and above is all about earning it. So that is recognition pins. So some other, events, some other pieces of information. Coaches should be contacting you starting now. So, for example, I got emails from both of my kids' coaches yesterday. I'm guessing some of you probably did. Actually, you know what? Maybe quick raise of hands. Like, did some of you guys get notifications from your coaches? Raise of hands. A few of you guys? No? Okay. So just so you know, we've told our coaches, you have to do it this week. If you haven't heard from them yet, don't stress. If you haven't heard from them, I would say by Sunday, absolutely get back to us as soon as possible. I do want to let you guys know that sometimes I would highly recommend, for those of you who have not heard from your coaches by, say, Saturday or Sunday, go into your accounts, make sure your email addresses are correct, because sometimes you may have accidentally put in a wrong email address, and if you did, and the coach has that wrong email address, then obviously they're not going to be able to contact you, right? So if you have not heard from your coaches, I would say that's step number one. Step number one, check your account, check your email address, make sure your phone number is correct. And if both are correct in that account, something's wrong. So let us know as a region, hey, heads up, I have not heard from my coach. Can you find out what's going on? And we'll investigate for you.
And,
Okay.
and you also want to check your junk mail or your spam folder every once in a while. Those emails get sent out and they end up there for some reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Never my emails, never my region. They never go to junk mail ever. But yes, great point, Josh. Thank you, man. Okay, so let's keep going. Player coach meet and greet, that is tomorrow. So hopefully all of you guys have been getting these notifications, region notifications. Again, same thing. We've been sending email notifications to all of our parents at least once a week. And there's always in those emails, banners, info, just a ton of stuff. And if anything, an email should have gone today. And if not, another one's going to go out at 8 o'clock talking about volunteer coach courses and referee courses. You should be getting those. If for whatever reason you're not getting those, same thing. Check your accounts, check your emails, check your cell phone. If you're not getting them, email us. Find our contact information. Find it's if you want, it's at info@AYSO1463. That actually will go directly to me. Let me know that you're not getting these weekly emails. You should be, and I'll check your account to make sure you're good to go. But anyway, going back, tomorrow's the player and coach meet and greet. It's going to be a lot of fun. The basic idea is that your coaches are going to be there. They're all going to be sitting at a table. Bring your kids. They're going to get a chance to shake hands and meet the coach and get a chance to say hello. And the coach will kind of talk to you a little bit and talk to the child about some expectations. And, it's just a quick, fun little way for the coaches and the players to just say hello for the very first time and meet each other, right? And on top of that, it's going to be at Dick's Sporting Goods. There is a 20% coupon that's on the website if you need shin guards, if you need water bottles, if you need obviously soccer balls, cleats, whatever the case, that 20% coupon will take care of you tomorrow and all through the weekend. So make sure you're out there tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. 6U division, you're at 5 o'clock. 8U division, you're at 6 o'clock. 10U division, you're at 7. 12U division, you're at 8. And all the coaches have been instructed about this. And we've even told the coaches, and by the way, we told the coaches, if they can't make it, let you know. But even if they can't make it, please show up. Like, we're going to be there. The board is going to be there. If you have questions, we can answer. You could use your coupon. If you're a part of any other program, VIP, schoolyard, select program, extra program, 14U, 16U, 100% show up. We can hang out. You can ask us questions. You can talk to some of our board members. You are everybody's invited to show up tomorrow. Please do. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Practices. There's been a little bit of back and forth on this. We were originally going to start practices starting on February 22nd, but we realized, we're kind of rushing things a little bit. We need to give ourselves a chance to get the information out to the coaches. We needed the coaches to get a chance to communicate with you. We needed to give you guys a chance, once you get the information from the coaches, to figure out your schedules, right? If all of a sudden the coach is like, hey, practices are, Tuesdays and Thursdays from, let's say, 5 to 6, you need time to kind of figure things out, right? So that we decided to slow down a little bit. So practices now are slated to begin no sooner than February 26th, which is a Saturday. Now, that doesn't mean you're gonna start on that Saturday. What that means is that's the soonest a coach is allowed to say you have practice. So some of you might practice on Saturdays, some of you might not, right? But that's the soonest that everyone's allowed to practice. And again, your coaches are going to get in contact with you and they'll let you know what days and times your practices are. What's up, Josh? You look like you got something.
No, not at all. I was
cool.
Just breathing. I had to take a deep breath.
Sorry, man.
No particular reason.
I
needed a deep breath.
I thought you were going to give us some incredible deep knowledge, man, but it's okay. You let me down. It's okay. All right. So so practices, again, we talked about this briefly. Warm Springs for the most part, but on occasion there might be some coaches who go to Vintage Reserve. There's a park right down the street by Buchanan. There's Chavella Middle School. That's another one of our approved parks. So there are a few parks here and there. So they will let you know what location, what times, and what dates very, very soon. Okay. Uniform distribution. That's kind of coming up real soon. Now, what's going to happen, just to let you guys know, on Saturday, we're going to have what's called live scan. a live scan event at Dick's Sporting Goods. This is not for the parents necessarily. This is for anybody who's volunteering. So this is for anybody who's going to be a coach, an assistant coach, a referee, a board member. They're going to go out there, and what we have to do as volunteers, we have to do, some of you guys might know this, but we actually have to do fingerprinting. So this is part of like a background check to make sure all of our volunteers are good to go and everything's fine, you know, for practice relay purposes, and to make sure everything's fine, right? So what's going to end up happening is on that event, we are going to give boxes of uniforms to coaches as they come in and do the event, right? So that's going to happen Saturday. And then it's up to the coaches from that point on to call you and tell you when they want to pass the uniforms out to you. So they'll let you know. It's probably going to be at a practice sometime in the near future, but they'll let you know when that's going to happen. As a heads up to you, and this is going to be pretty important for a lot of you parents, and we told the coaches this too. You know, a lot of times in the past, our parents in the system used to put down, hey, I want my child to have a large, or I want my child to have extra large. And for whatever reason, the extra large might have been too big or too small or whatever the case. And it always ended up being a problem. And these uniforms are incredibly expensive, and they take a really, really long time to ship, especially with all the doc related shipping errors that are happening right now, right? So what's happening is, what we told the coaches, and the best practice that we tell them is, line the kids up from smallest to tallest, right? Because what ends up happening is with the uniforms, the number 2, like say for example, number 2 always ends up being the smallest jersey, right? And then the largest number, let's say 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever the largest number is, that ends up being the largest jersey, right? So you line up the kids in kind of like height order, and that's how you kind of figure out what jerseys you're going to give out. And I know Carlos, he kind of gave the coaches a heads up on some tips and tricks on that as well. But just keep in mind that that's how it's more than likely going to go with a lot of coaches and you guys as far as the uniforms are concerned. So more information on when, you know, you guys are getting uniforms is coming up, but the coaches will let you know. All right. Picture day. So right now, picture day is scheduled for Sunday, March 6th. And it's again going to be at the same Warm Springs, not Warm Springs, well, Torrey Pines at the Warm Springs field. So the same exact fields that we play all of our games. So Sunday, March 6th, specific information on when your guys' times is being worked on now. So once we have the schedule, we will absolutely make sure to send it to everybody. Not ready quite yet, but we'll let you know. Kids will be taking 2 things. So they'll be taking individual pictures, and they're going to be taking a group picture, kind of similar to what you see in that picture, you know, in the slideshow, right? As a heads up, you know, there is a packet of pictures, a small packet of pictures that comes included with your registration, right? So there's not going to be anything that you got to do in order to get that free packet. What's more than likely going to end up happening, and this is what we did last season, is you're more than likely not going to have to do anything in regards to picture day. What may end up happening is, after pictures day is done, you're then going to see the pictures later on, and we're going to provide you a link to the actual photography company, and then you get to see the pictures on their website. If you want to order as many as you possibly want and do all the touch-ups and cool stuff that they end up doing, you can do that as much as you want at a later day. But that would be extra, and of course you would take care of it on your end. The small package of photos, you know, is a part of your registration package. And what we'll do is we'll remind you exactly of what you get in that package, you know, very, very soon, just in case you're curious. So that's coming up soon. Try to make it on that day, please, as much as you can. If you can't, you absolutely cannot make it on that day, unfortunately, we will not be able to do another team picture. We will more than likely look to do a makeup day, but it will only be individual pictures. So keep that in mind. Game schedule distribution. So information on game schedule will honestly, and just so you know, parents, game schedules are probably one of the very, very last pieces of information you're going to get. So, and it always comes in like a week before the actual game, sometimes maybe about 3 to 4 days before the actual game day itself. There is a ton of stuff that all of us, our schedulers, have to kind of figure out to make sure it all aligns. We have other regions that we got to worry about. We got the select program, an extra program. We have so many different things that we have to figure out before we can give you a schedule. So keep in mind that the game schedule will be one of the final things you guys get, more than likely the week of, right before game day or opening day. First game. So we kind of talked about this for VIP and Schoolyard. Your first day is going to be Friday, March 11th. Schoolyard and VIP, we talked about this again, but it's going to be one Friday session per week. core divisions, your season will start Saturday, March 12th. 14U and 16U, that might be a little different. It's still being worked on because we have other regions in the mix. We're trying to figure that out. So as soon as we figure that out, we will let you know. A heads up, AYSO, and we'll of course give you guys heads up on this stuff, but we're going to be closed the weekend of March 24th. And that's not just our AYSO, all AYSOs throughout Southern California, actually throughout pretty much all of California is going to be closed. And I think Nevada as well. There is an AYSO Expo that happens in San Diego that hundreds of people go to this AYSO Expo, and that's going to include myself, Josh, and a bunch of our own board members. So we have to close it that day. Everybody else is closed. And then we're also going to be closed on Easter weekend 4/15. So we'll remind you guys of that stuff, but those are the 2 weekends that we will not have any games. All right, so let's go into volunteering. Incredibly important subject. So I will let Carlos Torres take it away from here. Are you good, Carlos, or do I have to?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was unmuting myself. Hey guys, this is Carlos Torres again. As I said before, I'm also the volunteer coordinator. So listen, AYSO is an organization completely manned and run by volunteers. No one in this league, including the board members, are paid any amount of money. As a matter of fact, none of us get a discount for any of our kids or anything like that, but we all pay the full registration fee. Everything is paid for, just like you do. But we volunteer because we love to do it for the kids. We love to do it for our kids. We do it for your kids, and we do it for the community. That's the main reason we volunteer and so forth. So AYSO is only as good as the volunteers behind it. I do want to give kudos out to Jaime, the regional commissioner. He's the one who's speaking right now. He is amazing at organizing. He said earlier that, I laughed when he said it, that he was, I think, safety director for like a year and a half. And then he got a promotion to regional commissioner. Made it sound like he got paid or something. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, he was asked to be the regional commissioner.
It was who wants to be regional commissioner? Yeah. It was one of those instances where we were standing in a line and everybody else took the step back, and I was the only one standing there like.
Exactly. But seriously though, Jaime does an amazing job keeping us all organized, keeping the league organized and stuff. It's a ton of work. Josh does an amazing job as well. There's a lot of board members. I mean, I can't name them all. Christy, myself, we put in a ton of work. But to be honest, the person who puts in the most work is Jaime. Jaime does an amazing job of keeping everything going and running and stuff. So great job, Jaime. But anyway, so again, all that to say that we need volunteers, right? Again, AYSO is run by volunteers. No one gets paid, from the coaches to the referees to the people who line the fields to everything. We all do it together as a community, right? So we need volunteers like yourselves. You don't have to volunteer a lot, but if you can help us volunteer a little or a little more or a lot, whatever you want, we graciously accept it, because again, our organization is only as good as the volunteers behind it. Who can be a volunteer? Anyone can be a volunteer. Moms, dads, sisters, brothers, grandparents, uncles, anyone. You do have to be an adult, 18 or older, to hold, to deal with the kids and stuff, whatever. We do allow youth referees at a much younger age. I think it's 13, right, Josh? I think it is 13?
12.
12 for youth referees. But everything else, I believe you do have to be an adult. So that is one thing. Go ahead, Josh. So here are in AYSO, we have board members, and here are several positions that we have. We are constantly looking for people to help us to become a board member. The only thing you need, the only thing we require is for you to have a positive attitude, and then of course the willingness to help out. Again, a lot or a little. Anything you can bring to the table to help the organization is absolutely accepted. You never know, right? You don't have to volunteer as many hours as Jaime does, or Josh or myself, but anything helps. You may have resources, either where you work at or people that can help the league, save us some money. And again, the reason we're trying to save money is to try to keep the cost down for the parents that register, like yourselves, right? So please let me know if anybody wants to be a board member. Don't be intimidated. You're welcome to come to one of our board meetings. You'll see it's organization.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there, Carlos. You left us in suspense.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, yeah. So the AYSO, it's just the board is just a community. a family community. I don't want to sound cheesy and stuff, whatever, but we all work really, really well together. So you're welcome to join us. You're welcome to come to one of the board meetings. They're open to the public. Right, I mean, they're open to the public.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Anybody can.
I was about to mention the fact that, you know, our next board meeting is this coming Wednesday, and we're actually going to be doing at Delight. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but there's a little ice cream shop really close by to the fields, and we're going to all hang out and eat ice cream and just, you know, talk about stuff that we need to talk about for the region. So if you guys are interested, you guys want to hang out, just kind of learn about the region, help us out. We will be there next Wednesday from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Feel free to email Carlos or myself or any one of us, and we can provide you that info. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the organization, I keep stressing this, and I can't stress it enough. The organization is only as good as the volunteers behind it, right? So we can definitely, we definitely need all the help we can possibly get. And you don't necessarily have to hold a position either, right? But I mean, you can. So then other volunteers are the coaches, assistant coaches, referees, which we're gonna ask you, the parents, your coaches, when they have your team meeting, we'll discuss with you that they need help. So they need assistant coaches, they're gonna need referees, they're gonna need you to help them do volunteer tasks that every team is required. And I'll go over that in a second. So yeah, so AYSO volunteers, anybody can do it. Now, to become a certified volunteer coach, referee, stuff like that, there is training. I'm not going to go through this whole list, but you do have to do training. You do have to get background checked. You do have to do a live scan, and you have to go through the training process. It is mostly online, 80 to 90% online. There are a few things that you have to do in person, depending on what level you go to. But most of it's online. So if you're used to doing online stuff, this is not a big deal. But yes, you do have to get certified. AYSO takes the safety of the children very, very serious. So that's why you have to get background checked. You have to live scan. And then you also have to do safety training. Continue. So how do we encourage our community or encourage our parents to help us volunteer? Well, we decided, we had a discussion many years ago. We came up with a volunteer point program. The volunteer point program is geared towards the Commissioner's Cup or the playoffs, right? So it does not matter what your record is at the end of the season, if you lost every game or if you won half your games or whatever, it does not matter. Every team makes the playoffs as long as you complete your volunteer task or your volunteer points. The program is designed to encourage people to help. And by encourage people, I mean the parents or the guardians of the kids on the team help the league so that the league can prosper and stuff. So each division has their own certain requirements. If you're going to go ahead and move on, Josh. So the volunteer points program, basic overview, I'm going to go through it really quickly. The head coach has to be certified, and that's going to happen no matter what, because they have to be certified to be a coach. But the head coach also has to be certified as a referee. So that's another thing that they have to do. Again, that's what the head coach does. There are going to be referee points. Again, AYSO is 100% volunteer. So all the referees, everybody you see out there is a volunteer, right? So your coaches are going to ask you to step up and help to referee games. Now, you don't referee your own game, you referee other games, right? Because it'd be a conflict of interest to referee your own game. So those of you who played soccer before, this would be easy for you guys. Again, you will have to be certified, but your coach is going to need for you guys to help them referee games. That way you can make it to the playoffs or the Commissioner's Cup. And there's 10 duty points, super easy. There's sportsmanship points. That's just, you as parents, guardians, the players, the coaches, being good sports to the other team, being good sports about the game. If for whatever reason you're not, you lose X amount of sportsmanship points. There's picture points. All parents, all family members, or most of them take pictures. We ask that during your game, you take pictures and then you send them to the league, right? So your coach will assign the picture photographer for that game, and then you just send them to me, and then your team will get the picture points. And then there's player evaluations. Your coaches will do player evaluations by the end of the season. They just evaluate all the players and they send them over to me so that we have a rating for next season. So that's why we do the player evaluations. Continue, Josh.
Did you want to talk about the miscellaneous points on the right, or did you already?
Is it on the next one? I don't know if it's
no,
on
it's on the right. It's in the blue. Do you see the
blue?
blue?
I'm sorry, I can't see it. Sorry, I apologize. That thing is, so miscellaneous points. So we ask the teams to, again, do volunteer tasks like lining the fields on Fridays. So we line the fields on Friday with the whole group, and we fill the gopher holes. We make sure that the fields are safe so that by Saturday morning, everything will be nice and clean, nice and pristine, and the kids can enjoy and have fun. So we need help on Fridays. Coaches can get their certifications upgraded to get those miscellaneous points done. Attending the coaches meeting, which most of them did, 90% of the coaches did on Tuesday, so they got their points for that. If you want to volunteer and be the team manager on the team, if you get certified, then your team will get some miscellaneous points for that. If the coaches go to the coaches meet and greet, they get points for that. If they have an assistant coach, they get points for that. And then, of course, doing extra tent duty or taking extra pictures of other games, they get points for that. So each one of these is X amount. Think of it like a checklist of things that every team has to do by the end of the season. I will update them on a weekly basis. It will also be posted on our website, so you'll be able to see how your team is doing. Again, if your team does not fulfill those volunteer points or tasks by the end of the season, even if they won every game, they will not be allowed to participate in the Commissioner's Cup or the playoffs. And again, we do that so that again, AYSO, it can grow and can get better and stronger because of everyone participates. So that's the volunteer point. Again, your coaches will talk to you about this at the first practice, hopefully, or your team meeting. But please help your coaches so that at the end of the season, your kids can play in the Commissioner's Cup. If you haven't been in our region before, the Commissioner's Cup, the playoffs is amazing. It's so much fun. And the last thing we want is for a team not to make it. Last season, sadly, we did have 2 teams. Now, granted, we had 48, but 2 teams did not make it because they did not fulfill their volunteer points. I will do, Josh will do, Jaime will do everything we can to help you so that your team makes it. But at the end of the day, we can't do everything for all 48 teams that you are, right? Responsibilities too. So I also need you guys to help the coaches. If you're the beginning game or on the field, say 8 o'clock game or 9:30, whatever game you are, whatever time. If you're the first game on that field, we ask that you as a parents help your coach and do a safety check to make sure everything's good to go. Make sure the nets are up, make sure the goals are up, make sure that the fields are lined. Again, we do all this on Friday, but you still on Saturday morning, you need to double check, make sure everything's okay. Sadly, we do have some gophers, specifically on the 8U side, 8U fields that tear up the fields overnight. So we have to make sure that we fill those. But anyway, so you just do a quick 15, 20-minute safety check. So your coach will ask you to be there 30 minutes early to check if you're the first game on that field. If you're the last game on that field, we ask you to help your coach by tearing everything down, meaning you put all the nets away, put all the goals away, you put the flags down, and then you pick up any trash around there and put it away. Again, we as board members, there's no way we can, put up and tear down everything ourselves. We need you guys to help us. And that is it for volunteers. So again, I'm the volunteer coordinator. There's my information. I'm sure some of you I've called because I asked you to coach. If you couldn't do it, that's okay, because we got all the coaches, thankfully. So all the coaches got all the teams got coaches. But we do need you guys to help your coaches so that they can fulfill their volunteer. So here's my information. If you want to volunteer or just have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will always get back to you. You can text me, call me, or email me anytime, 24/7. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos was talking about some of the other board members, but we cannot do this without Carlos. I mean, he does an insane amount of work as well. And just trying to get so many of these coaches up and running, that is a huge amount of work. So thank you so much again, Carlos, for everything you do as well. So, all right, let's keep moving on. All right, so next up, we will talk to you guys a little bit about refereeing. We have Jerry Lee Stewart, who is actually our new Area 1R referee administrator, and we're excited to have him to kind of help us out here. So Jerry Lee, feel free to take it away.
Oh yeah, next slide. Yeah, like Jaime was saying, I am the new assistant or area referee administrator. Before that, I guess I still hold the position as the referee mentorship development and coordinator for Murrieta. When we started this program last year, it was basically like an overnight thing. As far as the change of how our refereeing was, after the program was implemented and all the support that Jaime and Josh and Carlos and all the mentors that I have in my roster, refereeing had changed so much that it got all the way up to the section level, and people from section were telling us like, oh yeah, Murrieta's ref team is the team that we want to ref our high level games. So it's always good to have that. One other thing I wanted to talk about was Carlos was talking about volunteering. You can use volunteering for community service hours, and that's big for high schoolers. That's how I started in AYSO. I don't have kids or anything. I started when I was 14. I needed community service hours. I ended up loving AYSO, and I just stayed as a volunteer. I know that Carl, his kids come out and they help us line the fields and ref, and they get, any board member can sign off on those volunteer sheets. So I'm going to keep the referee part real short and simple, just because this is more of like a parent orientation. It's not really a referee recruiting thing. Although if you want to be a ref, let me know. But we need refs. Okay, without refs, there's no game. All the refs in AYSO, they're all volunteers, all the way up to the national level. I'm a national referee and I don't get paid. I'd love to get paid from AYSO, but I don't. We just need volunteers. It helps you understand the game better. It helps you understand why the ref called what he called or what refs are looking for. It helps you understand that the chair that you sit on the sideline isn't the best view in the game. So that helped. Next slide, please. We can start. So we started this program, I think last year is when we started it, with 8U requiring referees. It used to be where the coaches would do it. 8U is where it starts. When we hold our classes, we teach our classes at the badge level regional. That's the badge level that we teach at. Earning that regional badge will allow you to referee 8U games, be an assistant referee for all games, and be a referee for all games. We want regionals to stay in the 10U 8U because regional is basically like the entry level. There is an 8U badge, but we don't teach that course because, like I was saying, there's really no point. We stick with the regional, and the regional will teach you what you need to know. We like youth referees to do the 8U games because it kind of gets their feet wet, kind of gets them comfortable. The youth referees are going to be a little bit more intimidated by going into a higher age level match because they're intimidated by what the parents might say to them and stuff like that. So going to 8U builds that confidence, builds that foul recognition and discrimination, and allows them to become a better referee in the upper ages. Next slide, please. We actually have a referee course coming up. It's coming up next Saturday, not this Saturday. Next Saturday, it's going to be at the Murrieta Annex. It's just down the street behind that Chick-fil-A. The regional referee administrator is going to be the lead instructor on that one. And I think we're going to have Andy from Paris. He's the RC for Paris, come down and help us out with that one. It's going to be a really good opportunity to get this out of the way because the course, I'm going to be frank, it's all day. And it's a little dry, but it's necessary. Everything in that course is useful information that can help you with the game. And we try our best to make you leave that class as comfortable as possible to go out and do your first game. And we also have a mentorship program. Like I was mentioning earlier, you'll see either me, the referee admin team will wear the polos, they're red polos. The mentors will wear this red shirt, and you'll see this on the field. It's a very, very personal program. It's a program that we all take seriously. You'll see on the back, it says the referee mentorship and development. Those are the shirts that you'll see on the field walking around with clipboards and their big sun hats because they're watching all the referees. It's not an assessment. It's more of a guidance. No one's there to judge you. They're just there to help you. So yeah, with that being said, February 26th, if you need help signing up, I'm going to put my email in the chat, but I'm sure my email is on the last slide anyway. Mara's email is probably there too. For those in here that are already referees, we are not going to do a referee refresher for the spring. The reason why is because the new laws don't come out until June/July. So for the fall, yes, we will do a referee refresher event. But for the spring, I talked with Mara about this, and he agrees with me. There's really not really a point to doing the referee refresher for the spring. Next slide, please. So that's the ref admin. That's Morrow. He'll usually either wear that or he'll wear the red polo. So he's really easy to spot. That's his email right there. My email's in the chat. If you need to email me, I always respond. I don't have a life. Soccer is my life. So one last thing before I sign off. I know I kept it pretty short, sweet, but this is going to be the most important thing I'm going to say. The culture that the referee is wrong and that you can say whatever you want to the referee's gone. We are very, very strict at our fields about referee abuse, especially towards a youth referee. I have zero issues as a board member ejecting anybody for abusing a referee. That does not mean that you cannot ask the referee questions. Anybody can ask the referee questions. But when you become disrespectful, when you start insulting, blah, 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 we all know how it is. That stuff's gone. It's that culture, it's all gone. We have a very strict policy. Our parents are pretty compliant with it. Sometimes we get parents from other regions that they don't want to listen to us and they've been ejected. But usually we have a pretty good culture at Murrieta, and I'm really proud to say that Murrieta is probably one of the better AYSO regions that I've been around, and I've been around a lot of them. So I think I'm good to go. I'll turn it back over to Jaime.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry Lee. And by the way, like, I know a lot of us are kind of giving kudos to one another, but Jerry Lee for the last couple of years has done a fantastic job, not only just providing a lot of us with guidance, even myself, like I've been around for a long time, but when Jerry Lee came around, I was kind of a newish referee. He's provided me a ton of, information and guidance, and it's gotten me to the point where, I'm getting close to being an advanced referee. So thank you so much, Jerry. He's also been, spearheading our mentorship program, which, he kind of touched on it briefly, but this is not just for the youth, right? It's not just for the youth referee, it's for all of the referees. So a lot of times, you'll see people out there in the red shirts, like Jerry was talking about, helping out all the various other referees become better referees, right? And just as a heads up to you guys, so there is a course, like we were talking about. Information actually got sent out tonight. If it hasn't been sent out yet, it should be going out at about 8 o'clock. I can't remember what time I sent the email for. But the class is going to be going on February 26th. It's going to be from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock. I think Jerry kind of briefly touched on that. I would highly recommend you guys go there. I know Jerry Lee was talking about it. It's not recruiting, but when I first started with this region, I knew zero about soccer. I was basically a baseball person. I grew up playing baseball. I knew nothing about soccer. And it wasn't until I went to the referee class that it opened my eyes. I learned what it was, to love this game of soccer, what soccer was. So I would highly recommend, if you're a coach, we're absolutely sending the coaches out to those courses. If I were you, I would go out there and take the course as well. We're going to need the referees. I wouldn't even mind if you guys send your kids, right? Because if the kids end up learning the laws of the game, they're going to become better players. I can promise you that. So definitely take advantage of that. Definitely do that. It's going to be happening next Saturday. All right. And information will get sent out in email tonight. But again, Jerry, thank you so much for everything you do, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to kind of helping us out tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Let's keep going. All right. So let's go over some safety procedures at AYSO 1463. Normally, this would be Carrie Lopez. She is our safety director, but unfortunately, Carrie Lopez had something going on and she could not be here tonight. She is very sorry. But you will see her out there as well. She has been one of our coaches at AYSO for an incredibly long time. She is coaching one of our select teams, and she does an amazing job with safety procedures. And I'll show you a picture of her in a second, so that way you guys get a sense of who she is. She was actually in some of the pictures, a little bit earlier. So let me go through this real fast. Rain policy. So as a heads up to you guys, AYSOs in general and soccer in general, they technically don't ever cancel for rain, right? There's a lot of times where you might see even professionals or whatever, even the kids, like they would play in rain. But unfortunately for us, if it starts even getting a little bit of, a little cloudy, or there's like a drop of rain, the city of Murrieta will call it a day very, very, very quickly, right? And if the city of Murrieta decides the fields are closed, the fields are closed and we have to cancel. So just heads up on that. If there's a little bit of rain, chances are practices will be canceled and games will be canceled. Keep in mind, we are going to do our best to provide you guys with emails through the region portal. We're going to send info on Facebook and Instagram, pictures, letting you guys know that, practices are canceled. On the flip side, Carlos and Josh always do a good job of texting the coaches and emailing the coaches and telling them, hey, coaches, practices are canceled or games are canceled. Please inform your parents. So one thing I do want to let you guys know as parents, do not assume that practices or games are canceled until you see this information. So always assume the game is going forward, the practices are going forward until either your coach gets in touch with you or you see an email or a Facebook post from us. So just heads up on that. Now, keep in mind, obviously if there's thunder and lightning, we do have to stop play immediately, right? It's super important for everybody's safety. So if we hear any kind of thunder, practices, games, stop. And everybody, has to kind of go and be in a car or kind of like, make sure they go somewhere to get safe. And play cannot resume until at least 30 minutes after the last time you hear a thunder, right? So you got to wait a good 30 minutes. So keep all those things in mind. We try not to cancel when we can, but unfortunately, sometimes it's out of our hands due to the city of Marietta. Heat policy. So as you guys all know, by living here, it can get really hot, right? And even in locations such as Palm Springs, AYSO Palms, I mean, it gets really boiling hot out there, right? Games are never canceled, right? So just as a heads up to you, we don't cancel games. However, we will always make sure to provide more water breaks, to provide more time for the kids to rest. We do certain other things to make sure we still keep the kids hydrated and make sure to keep them safe, but we will always still make sure to play even on those hot days. So keep that in mind. But of course, bring a lot of water, super important. Game cancellation. So, games will inevitably maybe be canceled due to rain. If they are, we will absolutely do our best to, find makeup dates, but we cannot promise that, we could do it. Unfortunately, a lot of times our schedule is very, very tight and compact, and we may not have another chance to get a game in. So we do our best, but we cannot promise a makeup game, but we will do our best to make that happen if we can. All right, so some other bullet points real quick as far as safety. So practices cannot start until AYSO 1463 provides a green light. And as I told you, or we mentioned earlier, February 26th, which is a Saturday, that is the green light for coaches, right? So that's the first day that we could potentially have teams out there practicing. Be aware that any non-registered players, volunteers, adults, anybody out there, you maybe a sibling of one of your children or whatever, they cannot be out there participating in any way. They can't be helping you out as like, say, for example, if you're a head coach and one of your children is there playing soccer, the other who is not signed up to AYSO, you're just like, hey, why don't you help me out as my assistant coach? Unfortunately, that's not allowed, everybody. It's definitely a liability issue, right? We just got to make sure anybody who's signed up, especially players, there is some protections there with AYSO, but anybody who is not signed up, we are liable for, right? So if anything out there happens, that is a potential problem. So to summarize, please, players, kids, if they're not signed up, please do not have them participate out on the fields. They have to kind of sit down and wait or be somewhere else, okay? Now, this has been told to the coaches and any other adults. Under no circumstances should adults be playing any kind of scrimmages or any kind of games, and that includes coaches, anybody. So any adults, any coaches cannot be playing any kind of scrimmages. And again, it's a liability issue, right? It's a concern that you have, a big, large coach out there playing with the kids. And what happens if you never know, something happens where that coach may trip and fall and lands on a child. And that's a major, major concern. So AYSO has specifically told every single region, absolutely under no circumstances should adults be scrimmaging with the kids. So heads up with that. Club linesmen. So technically, this hasn't happened for a really long time. So if anything, I'm almost tempted in the future to take this bullet point out. But what club linesmen are, in the past, we might have had issues with getting referees. So what we would do is we would ask a parent, hey, parent, here's a referee flag. Can you do us a favor and just, use it to mimic whatever it is what side the referee is calling? They kind of are used, they're out there to help out the referee by mimicking the calls as far as what direction the ball should go in. That's what a club linesman is. And in that instance, we would tell that person, look, you're not covered. So if something happens, you trip on a gopher hole, you break your ankle, whatever the case may be, they're not covered by insurance. We would let them know this is under your own, it's your own thing. Be aware that you're not covered, right? So that's what's going on there. But we've been doing a pretty good job with referees. We can always use more, but we've been doing a good job of getting referees, so this shouldn't be an issue. Parents, this is an important one. Parents must remain on field with children if you are in 10U division and under. We've had too many instances, everybody, where parents from 10U and under drop off their kids and then they just disappear. They go out shopping, they go out and they treat the coach almost like a babysitter in a way. That cannot be happening for anyone that's 10U division and under. You need to be there with your kids. You never know what might happen. The coaches do have a binder with a lot of your information, and it's emergency information, and that's good. But we need you as the parents to be out there, especially the little ones, right? You have to be out there. If we start noticing, or if the coaches start noticing that you're not there, we've instructed them to let us know, and then we're going to need to talk to you guys about the fact that you guys need to be out there. So just heads up on that. Another big one, no pets allowed. So this goes for practices and this goes for games. Any single time there's an AYSO event of any single sort, there are no pets allowed. And by the way, this goes for every single AYSO, every single region, not just ours. Pets are a liability, and anytime we see pets out there, we will immediately run to that parent and say, sorry, you guys can't have your dogs or cats or goats. We had a goat last season, so we had to ask someone not to bring their goat the next week. I'm not kidding around.
No, he's not.
And it was, by the way, you could hear that goat from all the way on the other side of the other fields. It was nuts. So yeah, it was cute, but yeah, we had to tell them don't bring the goat back. Service animals will be considered okay. So if it's a service animal, we will make that exception. That's okay, but no pets allowed. And of course, please make sure to review our safety policies. I mean, we have, if you go on our website, ayso1463.org, one of the main buttons says the word safety. And if you go in there, you can kind of figure out anything that you want to read in regards to safety related procedures, right? So feel free to take a look there, but we've kind of covered a good chunk of them here. That is our safety director. So that is Carrie Lopez. She is another awesome volunteer that does a tremendous amount for our region. She spends countless hours, not just as safety director, as a coach. I mean, you know, she's going to be coaching again soon. She's actually coaching this weekend at a tournament, which actually myself and Josh and a few other people will be refereeing all weekend long. So she does a huge amount, and she's awesome at her job, and she absolutely cares about anything and everything safety related in our region and all your kids. So if you guys have any concerns, any questions about anything safety related, please, there's her contact info. Feel free to go to the safety portal. Feel free to contact her. She will have all the info for you and help you out. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done, everybody, and then we'll kind of go to the questions. So last few slides. So just as a reminder, we are a 100% nonprofit organization, a nonprofit volunteer organization, right? So all the funds that come in from you guys, right? It is our responsibility to basically use them all up. You know, at the end of the year when it's tax season, actually, we're kind of actually going through this right now. The reality is we're really not supposed to hold on to those funds. We are a nonprofit organization. We're supposed to spend it as much as possible. And just so you guys are aware, that's one of the reasons why we kind of tell you guys at a certain point, we have a refund policy that at some point we can no longer refund you guys, right? Because what ends up happening is we take that money and now we're spending it on all the stuff that we need for the year. And that includes, you know, paying for the fields, which is thousands upon thousands of dollars. And then we got uniforms, which are insanely expensive. We got medals. We got a plethora of stuff that we spend all your money on, including maintenance and everything else we need. So we don't have a tremendous amount of cash flow. We have enough, obviously, to keep things going, but you know, for the most part, we can always use more help. So we end up having these eat-in fundraisers from time to time, and we'll send out emails. We'll let you guys know when they're coming. You know, for example, like Carl's Jr., you know, who is an awesome sponsor of AYSO. They may have one of these events where it'll say, like, on a Wednesday night, go to Carl's Jr., right? And from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and a certain percentage of that will come back to the region. And all you guys have to do is go there, buy some hamburgers, tell them you're from 1463, and then we get a little bit of money back so we can make and you know, we can use those funds to make 1463 even bigger and better, right? So keep those in mind. We'll be sending updates on those from time to time, but if you guys can help us out and go out there during those events, it would be a gigantic help to everybody. Another fundraiser that we're doing is soccer.com. So we partnered up with soccer.com. There is a link on our website. If you were to go there, it's under about AYSO. You might find it on one of our banners from time to time. But basically, we have our own team website under soccer.com. And in there, they have t-shirts and soccer balls and pants and all this stuff that you could buy. And you could actually customize. They have a bunch of different lettering and different things that you can put on the shirts and the pants themselves, right? You know, some of the examples are there like soccer and stay in the game and all that, but you can customize all this stuff. We get a very, very small percentage of the sales from this stuff, but again, any of this stuff helps us big time. So feel free to go there. What we're also planning on doing for the season 2, and you'll see this on picture day. You might see this a little bit at the meet and greet, just a tiny bit, maybe not a whole lot tomorrow. But we have our own set of t-shirts that we're going to be selling. Again, it's a fundraiser. We have our own custom soccer balls. You might have seen it in one of the slides a little bit earlier. They're a blast and everybody loves them. So we're going to be selling those at some point too. And in each time, you know, you guys do that, you're basically helping our region out. So be aware. And the one thing I would say is, if you're going to order from soccer.com, the only negative is that it does take about 2 to 3 weeks to get to you. The shipping is a bit on the slow side. So if you're going to order something, I would recommend you order something as soon as possible. If not, we are going to have our own set of awesome looking t-shirts and soccer balls very soon. So be on the lookout. We'll be selling them at Picture Day and a few other events. Social media sites. So some of you guys are already following this, so thank you so much. Follow us, please. Facebook, Instagram, those are the 2 big ones that we maintain all the time. So every time we send out a region email, which is once a week, we also send out that information on Facebook and Instagram. We use that as a way to kind of get this information out there to you guys. So please, please, please make sure to follow that. Not only do we provide information on the news, but we, like Carlos was kind of mentioning earlier, we put up pictures and videos and banners, and we try to make it fun. And, you know, we try to put pictures of all the division or all the pin winners. And like, we try to celebrate your kids as much as possible. So follow us on there. You know, send us comments, send us shout outs, like, let's be a part of the community. If you guys can follow us, that'd be fantastic. You will get a lot of information out of these social media sites. Last couple of slides. So this is a list of the contacts we got. We got registrars, which is Brian Nielsen. He is the person that you would contact if you have anything registration related. Morrow, who we kind of touched on earlier, he's a ref admin. Josh, who's been speaking a little bit, who got a chance to kind of talk to us a little bit earlier, he's our coach admin. Carrie, safety director. Carlos, who we've seen earlier, he is our volunteer coordinator and so much more. I am the regional commissioner. Again, Kate Gilkey is our schoolyard coordinator. Shauna is our VIP program coordinator. And again, if you have general inquiries, info@ayso1463.com. If you have any questions, we are here for you. Feel free to contact those people if you have specific questions, or just get in contact with us if you have general questions. We're here to help you out. And I think for the most part, that's it. I mean, we're going to go into the questions in a second, but I do want to say again, we are so excited to be back. We had a blast in the fall season. Commissioner's Cup was a ton of fun. It was like a little, like I was mentioning before, it was like a little festival. A lot of us enjoy refereeing. We've been having a blast doing that as well. We are doing tournaments this weekend for some of our teams. We're gonna have a tournament out in Riverside. Anyway, I'm rambling. It's going to be a really, really fun season for spring. We have a lot of plans for you guys. We are going to be sending you info and updates on a weekly basis. Enjoy it, guys. Have fun. Volunteer if you can. Try to get your kids going. It's going to be a blast. So we are so happy to be out there, and we look forward to taking care of you guys and looking forward to playing soccer during the spring. So I think that's kind of it. So I think what we'll do now, I know we only have like 15 minutes left. I know it's been close to 2 hours, but Josh, if you wanted to take care of the question side of things, feel free.
Perfect. Cool. I mean, thanks. Well, actually, unless you guys, Carlos, Jaime, check your messages. I literally only had one question throughout this whole thing. So any parents who are still with us, if you do have any questions, shoot them in that chat box. But for now, I had one question at the very beginning. The question was, will we be traveling for games, or will they be local? And I know we went over this, but just to reiterate, 12U divisions and below will be at our local Marietta Fields. 14U and up are going to travel. They'll probably be about half and half, half traveling, half local games. So that should answer that question. Jaime, do you have any in your box?
Yeah, there are a few. Let
Okay.
me go through it real quick. So, okay, so one parent asked about wait list. Basically, their daughter was on the wait list, and see what's going on there. So, Jennifer, we'll take that offline. I'll probably send this question over to our registrar team, and then we will ask them to get back to you. I would highly recommend, Jennifer, if you can, email our registrar team. It's AYSO1463reg@gmail.com, and ask her this. But if anything, I'll try to contact us. Find our contact information and let us know, and we will get back to you on the wait list side of things. Another question came in. Can children play down a division? My daughter is in 14U, but as a new player, she is 13. Unfortunately, no, they cannot. They are not allowed in AYSO to play down. Only play up. Only because there's a lot of reasons. I mean, one of the main reasons is, if all of a sudden we have too many of these players, in one team that's supposed to be in the next range playing downward, that's going to throw off the balance big time, right? There might be some teams that have older players on the team when they shouldn't, and then all of a sudden that team is annihilating the other teams, and then the other teams aren't having fun. And the point of balancing the teams here is obviously to make sure you guys have as much fun as possible with those balanced teams. So anyway, to make a long story short, no, we can never play down. We can always play up. So if for whatever reason you feel like your child wants to go up a division, that's okay, but not downward.
Yeah, just to touch on that, Jaime, real quick. Don't fret for your child if they're a brand new player. I don't. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I don't ever remember one team or 1 year or one division where there wasn't at least one or two brand new players on that team. So that's what we do for balanced teams. There's a small amount of skilled players. There's a whole bunch of kids in the middle, and there's a small amount of beginner players usually for every single team in every division. So don't fret. That's normal.
That's completely valid point, Josh. Thanks, man. I did have another question. My child is 10 years old. What division is that, 10 or 12? It depends. So just as a heads up, it really boils down to the years. Sometimes I have to look this up because it changes every single year and my memory is awful. So 10U division, your child would be in the 10U division if they were born in either 2012 or 2013. They would be in the 12U division if they're born either 2010 or 2011. And I keep disappearing. It's like half of my face disappearing. Just keep that in mind. So 12U, 2010, 2011, 10U, 2012, 2013. So heads up on that. Let's see. Let's keep going. I'm not saying too much more. Another question about wait list. Yeah, feel free to, like I was mentioning before, feel free to email us and we will find out whether or not they are on the wait list. If they are on the wait list, if you haven't heard anything, then they're going to remain on the wait list. What ends up happening is we don't want to tell anybody right now the wait list is done, even if you're on it, because you never know. You never know. Maybe a child tomorrow or the week before the first game or whatever drops out, and then we could get you back in, right? So as of right now, the wait list is still active, but we don't want to flat out tell everybody, sorry, the wait list is closed, because you just never know what may happen, right? Will we have our colors at coach's meet and greet? I think based on what we talked about yesterday, Josh, I think Christy may still be on here, but I think so, yes?
Yeah, Christy always puts a picture of the actual jersey and color in the coach's binder, so you'll be able to see a picture of your uniform color. You won't actually get the uniforms tomorrow at the meet and greet, but you'll be able to see what you're going to get.
And by the way, we didn't really talk about this, but that goes into the whole banner situation. So say, for example, one of the things that Josh was talking about with the coaches yesterday is for picture day, your coaches are probably going to ask you like, hey, look, we want to get a banner going because we would love to have a banner in our picture. Hey, kids, think about, what team name you want. Think about, and of course, the color probably is going to play a part in it. So Josh is absolutely right. You guys will get some information on the color, and make sure to talk to your kids. So ask them what kind of team names they want so they can help the coach out and figure out a possible banner. Cool. All right. So, and then we had a question that says, what time is this held? I know when this came up, Chris, this is during the referee course. So like I mentioned before, it's going to be Saturday, February 26th from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's the time of the referee regional course. Let's see. I think that's it from my end. Carlos, do you see anything on yours?
Actually, no, I checked. I don't have anything on mine.
All right.
Uh,
See, Ashley was like, no. One more question. One more. Okay, here we go.
Good for you, Ashley. That's right. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so if we as parents are not able to be at the fields or practice, let's say, they're a part of the schoolyard program, are the grandparents, adults okay to be there in their place? We have to shift work schedules and it's possible to be, it's impossible to be at, most practices. Yeah, absolutely. If you have a grandparent there, if you have an adult, as long as there is an adult there, a grandparent there for that child, that's specifically there for that child, that's going to be okay. I would highly recommend you let your coach know or let the coach know in the schoolyard program or even any other program or division that you're in. Hey, heads up, I'm the grandparent. I'm here for that child. That's who I am. Just make sure they introduce themselves real quick to the coach so they know, and then you're good to go from there. Cool. All right, we'll give it a couple seconds. Any other questions anybody wants to put in here? Wow, are we going to end? I know it's almost 2 hours, but I almost feel like we're ending early in a way.
This has got to be a record for the least amount of questions. That means that you did a great job, Carlos and Jaime.
Or they're just sick and tired of hearing our voices and they just want to get the hell out of here. I don't blame them.
Probably most likely.
Oh, we got another one.
Oh.
For team moms, do we need to attend the finger point clearances? That's a very good question, Jen. Right now we're saying no. And the reason why the live scan is for anybody who's really, really involved with the kids on a daily or weekly basis, right? And a lot of times with the team parents, they're more involved with the adults. They're more involved with communication. They're more involved with like sending emails and kind of figuring out the banner situation or figuring out whatever it is that the coaches need them to figure out. But they're not really as involved with the kids themselves. So anybody who's a team parent right now, no. But anybody who is a referee who's obviously running around with the kids, anybody who is a coach who's obviously working and talking with the kids a lot, they will be a part of live scan. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, if for whatever reason you want to relive these 2 hours, this information is going to get posted on the website tomorrow. And if you have any other questions in the meantime, feel free to get back to us. Don't forget, coaches are going to be in contact with you. If you don't hear from them by, I'd say Sunday, let us know so we can investigate and figure out what's going on. And then practices start the 26th, and then we're going to get going. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So in the meantime, if you have any questions at all, whether it be coaching related for Josh, volunteer relating for Carlos, safety related for Carrie, Jerry Lee for referee, and Morrow for referee, or anything else in general for myself, or registration for Christy, get in contact with us. We're here to help you guys out as much as possible. All right. Cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.